Management District Governing Board and take up the item for air quality.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Chris Brown, I'm the Air Pollution Control Officer, and I've got a couple of items. First I'm going to give a very brief oral version of my monthly report, which you have in front of you. And then Kendall has asked me to come today specifically to talk about open burning issues. We've got a couple of people on the coast who have some concerns, and there's some enforcement issues going on over here. Thought we'd take the opportunity to talk about that. We may have some folks who want to address the board at that point. And I have asked Chief Orsi from Fort Bragg Fire to be here. I'm not sure if he's been able to make it or not, but he may also want to address the board. So going into my report very briefly, we are having some staffing issues at the present time. We're down about three bodies at the moment. We've got 2 people who are dealing with family members who are ill, so we're fairly short-staffed. We're still getting out there doing our job, but we're having to delay some non-priority projects. Hopefully that'll be turning around here in the next couple of months. We did have one person who retired January 31st, Don Latimer. He's been with us for about 10 years. He ran the monitoring program, and that position is being held vacant. We've got a reorganization that's coming forward very soon. And we're doing some changes to the monitoring program. So we're looking to probably eliminate one position. That would be that position, and to create an administrative position at a lower salary rate to help us get the work done. We're also doing some changes to our monitoring program. We've worked with HSA, Environmental Health, Coast Office. They're going to be doing the filter changes here at City Hall for us. We're working on training them right now. They'll be taking that over in the next month or so. That's going to save us significant staff time and fuel, driving over to Fort Bragg every 6 days. And we're still going to be coming over at least once a month to check on the monitor. We're also, of course, still available to respond to complaints and emergency issues as they come up on the coast. But that's almost 3/4 of a day you lose every time we send somebody from Ukiah to here. The district's monitoring site in Willits is going to be closing probably middle of June at this point. The landlord, I was looking at closing that site July 1st. The landlord has actually contacted me independently and said he's going to be remodeling the building. We're going to be losing the space. So it's just kind of the perfect time. So we're going to be hauling the equipment out of there. Most of the equipment is 15 to 20 years old, and it's very expensive to replace it, and in addition to find another site. We have an identical site in Ukiah. The Willits site is somewhat redundant. So we're going to be closing that down. And HR and the CEO's office have reviewed our reorganization proposal. It should be coming to the board fairly soon. It's kind of we've done this in stages. It's outlined in the memo. And this is the final stage. And then we have the fee miscalculation issue, which the CEO talked about last week briefly. We became aware of this at the end of February on the 29th. We had a meeting with some permit holders. One permit holder pointed out to us that the CPI factor didn't seem to jive. We went in, looked at it. I did some hand calculations myself and kind of verified that the middle of the next week. And we became aware that the fee had in fact been miscalculated. And it was basically a software error where something was supposed to refer back to one table. It was instead referring back to a table that had already been adjusted. And it became a compound error over a number of years. Under state law, we have to return those funds to our permit holders, and of course we are going to be doing that as a credit on next year's bill. The auditor's office made a number of recommendations after reviewing the issue on how to improve the process. They also recommended instead of a staff assistant 2, we hire an account specialist, somebody with more of an accounting background. We already have somebody with a great accounting background, but it's good to have that second set of eyes. And the fiscal impact, as I emailed the board last week, when we finally calculated everything, it's about 1,200 individual calculations, is $51,000. And that's going to be taken in our budget next year as a loss of revenue. And we're going to be able to cover that, I think, through salary savings and by delaying some equipment purchases. And I don't know if there's any questions on that issue.
Supervisor Delver.
Hey, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Brown, in regard to preparation for that, what actions are you taking this fiscal year to better prepare for that hit next year? Are you looking at purchase programs, assets that are this year that are being put on hold? What are you doing this fiscal year?
This fiscal year, we have salary savings from the position that's being held vacant. I was going to use those salary savings to build up reserves. Instead, that's going to be dedicated to this issue. We're also delaying a purchase that was going to happen next year with savings from this year. We're under budget for this year at this point, and that was going to be a new monitor for the Fort Bragg location, and we're just going to run the older monitor that we have for another year at this point. That's about $20,000.
Any other purchases being made at this fiscal year?
The only other large purchase that we have at this point in time is a vehicle that was approved by the board back in October that still hasn't been ordered at this point. And we could delay that, but the vehicle that we have that we're going to be replacing is a 1993 Oldsmobile that the garage really wants to see go because it's getting hard to get parts and maintain that vehicle.
Okay, thank you.
Sure thing. And we've also, of course, I think the board's aware, we've got a lot of interest in the Harris Quarry issue. We've got a number of people who've called us, contacted us. There was a burn that occurred at Harris Quarry, generated a number of complaints. There were no violations that we determined the district rules, but it did generate a lot of public interest. We do have a number of people who've applied for the hearing board. We look like we may actually have a full hearing board. We're going to be sending applications to the board very soon, the next couple of weeks to appoint those folks. Some of them may have conflicts with various projects that are coming forward, but they could still be an alternate, they can still be on the board. They just can't decide on a project they've taken a position on. We did get a major Public Records Act request, which was 1,600 pages. Some of it went to the clerk of the board's office too. Over Christmas, took a lot of staff time to put that together. There's a limited time frame where you have to respond. Looking out for other information here, I'm going to skip over a number of things. On statewide issues, diesel engine regulations are really starting to pick up steam in Sacramento. They are working right now on the on-road truck rule. At this point in time, we would not be enforcing those rules. However, ARB has kind of approached us and asked us if we'd be interested in taking on the enforcement of basically all of the diesel rules at the local level. They would fund us to do those activities. And I think that's a very complicated discussion that we need to have with the board before we agree to do that. It certainly would be a lot more work, but it also is the opportunity to have a lot more funding. Probably need 1 or 2 additional staff people just to do that work. But as of today, there is in existence diesel regulations for stationary engines at the state level. Those have gone into effect. We have notified all of our permit holders that they need to retrofit or upgrade their equipment. We're waiting to get responses from all of them. Some of them have gone out and purchased brand new equipment at significant expense to comply with the rules, hundreds of thousands of dollars in some cases. The portable regulations are in effect and are being enforced. We have required for a number of years that all portable diesel engines be registered with the district. The state also has a registration program for those that move between districts. And the off-road and stationary rules now also are looking to affect agriculture. And that's something that's a very big hotbed issue. The state had a deadline of March 1st for agricultural pumps. They have changed their mind